Welcome on into 19 on the Clock, your Tri-State High School and College Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Pushkar. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Jackson McCarty. Jackson, how are we doing today?
We're doing good. We have a little bit more of a news-oriented episode. We're starting to get into high school state brackets and whatnot. That's in Ohio, and then Kentucky will shortly follow. We've got 3 games on the Ohio girls side of the Southwest District that we want to talk about for regional teams, but some pretty big headlines coming from all of our college teams. 2 big wins last night in the Tri-State for sure.
Yes, and the fun part is that they weren't all basketball.
Yeah. We get to differentiate. We really kind of have one of each. Football, baseball, basketball.
True. Yeah, we got some big headlines on all those sides. Let's start off with baseball though, because Cincinnati has started playing baseball this year. Just took down number 9 Auburn. Yeah. In Auburn, 8-0.
Yeah.
So the Bearcats are now 3-1. The Tigers are also 3-1. Some of the big numbers to look out for was Christian Mitchell. The third baseman hit 3 RBIs off 2 hits, as well as Enzo and Felice, the designated hitter, had 3 hits leading the team. Honestly, it's very interesting to look at the inning breakdown because you had 1 run in the first, 1 run in the second. Nothing scored until the 8th when UC got 2 more runs, and then 4 more on top in the 9th.
The volume turned up there at the end. What I've been impressed about so far with UC is what their pitching has been able to do early and how it stacks relative to their opponents. So Carson Marsh, I want to give a shout out. He's appeared in 2 games, hasn't started, but 5 innings pitched, 1 hit allowed, no runs. So the opposing team has a batting average of .063 against him right now. Yeah. Filthy. The perfect setup man right now once you get past your starter that you're wanting to lean into. Carson Marsh has been that guy. Logan Knight, want to credit him for a 6-inning outing as a starter, 2 earned runs, and that ended up coming away with the win. But like I said, those big numbers relative to their opponents, 2.31 team ERA right now to a 5.25 opponent ERA. They've allowed 22 hits when the other teams have let up 34. 11 runs to the opposing team's 25. Like, it has been such a lopsided effort. Obviously, a lot of credit also goes to their bats in that. But 231, 11 earned runs in, 5 games in?
4 games.
4 games in. You take that every day of the week.
Yeah.
So it's been a very impressive showing for the Bearcats, who look like they're building on that Knoxville regional trip from last year.
Yes, and without having a full breakdown of each game and, play-by-play in front of me, the only thing the thing that I'm getting out of this is that they are trying to make big swings, and you're getting these 14 hits to 5 in this game against Auburn, but you're also getting 13 strikeouts.
Yeah,
which is one of those things where it's like, at this point early in the season, I'm totally fine with seeing strikeouts if these players are swinging at those balls type thing.
Exactly.
As long as you're trying to make the contact, trying to get the runners on base, that is more than enough in my book. Type thing.
Absolutely. Well, and it's also worth noting, this was the team's first cumulative shutout of the year against such a massive opponent. So I like that if it's going to happen, and it's going to happen early, it's against a highly ranked team. Just kind of shows immediately to the team that when they're clicking, they're capable of taking down some pretty big fish. So being able to roll that momentum further on into the season, use it as a point to remember, hey, this is how good we were. When the times inevitably do get bad, because they always get bad at some point, being able to look back at that performance and be like, no, that's what we're capable of. I think that could be a pillar of this season for the Bearcats.
Yes, and if you are excited to watch Bearcats baseball, they will be returning home on the 24th, Tuesday. They'll have a 4 p.m. game against Bowling Green, and then a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series against Austin Peay. In between that, though, they're staying down in Alabama. They're in Birmingham Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday against UAB. Those games are 3 o'clock on Thursdays and Friday, and 2 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday.
Yep. Perfect.
So that is our fun, exciting news for the Bearcats. On the basketball side of things, Miami Redhawks keep winning.
Keep doing it.
They have set a new team record for wins in a season, which was a record that they set last year. And so they were able to get the win over UMass.
Yep.
88-77. And that was still a weirdly tight game. But all of these games are being.
I think that's just how Miami wants to do it at this point.
If you're not on the Cardiac Hawks, is what we'll call them now.
Well, and like you look at the individual breakdown Cardiac Hawks, like outscored UMass by 5 in the first, outscored UMass by 4 in the second. Like it's just a consistent knowing how they need to be because they're not leaving the formula that works. Again, they had 4 guys in 10 points or more this last game. Suter continues to be the guy that if you're going to say somebody's your primary scorer or like your main guy, Suter kind of has to be that. But, the stats are cutting it pretty close. He averages 0.1 point more than Brant Byers. So it's not like it's some big giant runaway, but they find ways to get everybody involved.
Well, and this team, you can tell with this team how much they are just enjoying the ride together type thing.
Absolutely.
I believe Coach Steele basically said exactly that after the game. And, we talk about Suter getting the 23 points, had 23 points, led the team. When they're celebrating afterwards, they're not just looking at who put the most points on the board.
No.
They have their ice out game-winning chain that they hand down after each game. That went to the forward, Almar Atlason. It's just that fun vibes that are what college sports is always about in my book. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because whenever you're scoring 92 points per game, you shoot higher than 40% behind the arc, and you're undefeated, I'd be having a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things that it feels like Miami just has figured out. They're like, okay, what are the things that are like awesome to be good at? And what are the things that like when you hit a 3, you're like, oh, that was awesome. It's like, let's just keep doing that, and it's working.
Yeah. And they are, I mean, I was going to say, the nice thing about winning all of your games so far is that at some point you just kind of be like, well, if we lose one, we lose one and whatever.
Yeah. You're at this point, we're past, because nobody expects Miami still to be like a real title contender. Not like in the MAC, but like across the whole sport. So they are still getting to play underdog.
Yes.
And they're in this fun pseudo environment where it's like, sure, we're the big guys here, but we're still going to be 8 seed, 9 seed, 10 seed, which mathematically doesn't work for a team that's ranked in the 20s, but whatever.
It's because RPI. It's RPI.
I know.
That's what you gotta remember that when they made the changes with how they put the brackets together, RPI just has so much and other analytical metrics and things like that.
I know, but still, it's just weird to look at. But either way, they get to still maintain that little engine that could type of thing to persevere and to keep the wheels on the track.
Yeah, and you're still a game above Akron, 3 games ahead of, or excuse me, 2.5 ahead of Kent State. So I believe there's only 5 games left in the year. Yeah. Next one is against Bowling Green. Those, you just at this point it's get to the MAC tournament, win out in the MAC tournament, or get to the finals, whatever you want to do there, and then you're locked in for the NCAA tournament. Like I feel like the thing about this is that a lot of times when you talk about the MAC and who's going to be represented in the MAC in the NCAA tournament, it's always just like, well, this is the team that's going to win the conference title. Yes. And this is the team that's going to get the auto qualifier. And then you just go, hey, all right.
And everybody else has fun in the NIT.
We'll see you next year.
Yeah.
There's a good chance that if Miami falls, doesn't get the championship type thing, are still in that contention of like, hey, we're going to slide you in maybe a little lower than that 10 slot, 9 slot, whatever, something like 13, 12.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. They, at this point to me, unless they like it's a cataclysmic fall off, I think that they are tournament bound, knock on wood. Yes. But I do also think it's worth noting that selfishly, I think that Miami kind of needs to win that conference title, because I do have my fears about seasons like this getting forgotten when they really shouldn't. And I feel like if they go undefeated through the regular season and then they win that conference title, that becomes such a historic season, not just here, not in Oxford, not in the tri-state, not in anything, but period. To be able to go into the tournament undefeated, I think that would be such a crazy story and a crazy achievement for the Red Hawks. So holding my breath to hopefully see if that can come to life.
I would love to see the Red Hawks end with 30-something wins, put Coach Steele in that pantheon of coaches who has achieved that in a year. I know like Coach Cal is the only one with 3 times getting 38 wins. But like, even reaching like a 34, 33, something like that. I don't know exactly how. I'm trying to think of how numbers would work out.
I think 30. They'd be at 34 going into the March Madness tournament.
Okay.
If I'm doing my math properly.
Then yeah, like 30, 34, 35. You get that first round win. Yeah. That's still huge, and that's such a massive accomplishment for the MAC and for Miami.
Absolutely, and it's a team that, ironically enough, could benefit a lot by being a 10 or an 11 or a because if you can get away from the 1 seed, you're in like true blue Cinderella story territory. Which I mean, obviously they already have been throughout the year, but you could potentially get to 36. Not to daydream too hard, but like you could set yourself up on a pretty nice little path there.
Get them to 38.
Hey,
put them up there.
What about 40? Red Hawks 4 national champions.
Red Hawks undefeated national champions. That just sounds like one of my NCAA football runs.
Oh, absolutely.
With the Red Hawks. But speaking of the MAC, we've got some changes coming to football in the MAC.
Yeah.
Most notably, Sacramento State is going to be joining the Midwestern America Conference. So
I just don't. I would know. Like, I'm excited to have Sacramento State.
Yes.
In the FBS proper in D1. Why is it the MAC? The Mountain West is like in a crisis of character right now.
Yes. Okay. So let's. You basically brought up what I will bring up. Okay. So let's talk about this a little bit, because I'm going to break down the details. This reporting is from Yahoo Sports from Ross Dellinger. This is a 5-year football-only agreement that Sacramento State will join the MAC. They are paying a $18 million entry fee over that time, with $6 million of that coming in the first year. They will pay $5 million NCAA FBS entry fee. They will get no money from the MAC for 5 years.
Ugh.
Cover the air travel for visiting teams, which is estimated to be about $2 to $4 million.
Right.
And then they're also going to have to pay for their own travel out to, Oxford, to Buffalo, to Bowling Green, to Toledo,
which is just absurd. Like that's so much money.
Yeah, it's one of these things where I'm very curious to see what their scheduling looks like. Because I almost wonder if they could pull something off where, you have an agreement with, you have Toledo and Bowling Green back to back.
Yeah.
And you have an agreement with Toledo that they play them first that Saturday, and the kids just stay in Northwest Ohio for a week, be like, hey, can we just practice at the Glass Bowl? Can we practice at some other location and work from there? And then you just are still in Bowling Green without having to fly back and forth and potentially disrupt things that way.
The immediate issue with that is they are students. And
online classes,
for sure,
is where I was going to go with that.
And it kind of has to, but like I think that they're going to have to. Hawaii has made a functional schedule,
sure,
despite being way off land.
My only thing, like when I'm thinking about this, is just how many MAC locations have easy airport access.
True.
which I guess because I would imagine you'd fly into either Dayton or CVG if you're going to Oxford. That's still like an hour drive ish. If you're going to Bowling Green, you're flying into Toledo.
Yep.
Toledo at least is easy. The Michigans, I mean, it's Detroit. It's probably Grand Rapids. I don't know what is in between them. Buffalo is easy. And then Cleveland for like the Akron, Kent State, stuff like that. So that's the question that's the first question that comes to my mind. But I will say notably that the president of the school is like, hey, we're fully on board with this. This is like something I want. This is going beyond like an athletic department decision, because in his mind that this is so much bigger than just the football side of things. Because like you had NDSU, as you mentioned, they are going to be joining the MAC, or not the MAC, the Mountain West, with Northern Illinois, and but like North Dakota State has won how many FCS titles in the last like 10 years? I think it's like 5,
right? Something
like that. So they are very clearly the top of the FCS. It's the same kind of thinking behind James Madison joining a few years ago and things like that, or App State in the past.
So I was looking at, because I wanted to see how Cal treated their ACC stuff.
Okay.
And I'm not seeing anything where they broke. Now, obviously, Cal was making money to be in the conference,
and that's the key thing.
But also, Sacramento State, I don't think inherently is going to get gifts because they're willing to do all that. You know what I mean? Like, I think that if they're committing that many millions of dollars to entering the FBS and entering the MAC and this, that, and the other, I think they probably just have to, unfortunately, schedule as many non-cons close to them as they can, and then try to kind of bounce back and forth. It's going to suck, but like the students know, they're aware of what conference they play in, and it's part of just what's happening with all this conference realignment.
So what the university president did tell Yahoo Sports is that, so basically total price for the move about $25 million.
Yes.
Put that in perspective. What he went ahead and did was commissioned a consulting firm to look at the economic impact of 5 years in the FBS. And they are giving a figure of $975 million to the area.
Oh, I believe it.
Now, that's like a little under $200 million a year for those 5 years. But that is already paying back that $25 million.
Correct.
You know, whether it be something, if it is bringing fans from other schools into Sacramento to explore the city, which I've been to, is a lovely, lovely city to visit. I think this is arguably the best way. So I told you I have a hot take before we started recording this. This is my take. This is the right way to do this conference changing stuff, which is football only. It is the sport that has the most money behind it and makes the most sense of, well, we can make it extra expenditures for. Don't loop all of the other sports into that. Now, because like you look at the Big Ten with the California schools and the Oregon, like the West Coast schools. I think it could have been very, and I know I can already tell, I think, where you might go after I say this, but you know, you have football from Oregon with Washington, UCLA, USC join the Big Ten. You still can let, you know, the volleyball teams compete, whether it be in a Pac-12 or in, you know, some new conference, if the Mountain West decides to expand and become a preeminent volleyball, you know, conference, things like that, or the Big 12 grabs them, and it's just, you're not going all the way to the other side of the country just to compete in these games. It's kind of the same with the ACC, where like if Cal and Stanford wanted to be included in that, you don't have to envelop all of the sports. Just do the ones that where all of this money is, we know, is being, you know, pumped in and spread around.
For sure. My hesitancy with that is that with all this conference realignment stuff, we are creating confusion in a sense.
Oh, sure.
Of like Cal's an ACC school now, and all the California schools are Big Ten and whatever. I think that people are going to acclimate based on football, And I think if you have to, like, if I'm a casual fan, and let's say I'm a casual Louisville fan,
Yeah.
and our
you see
football
them
team
playing
is
the
in
Golden
this
Bears.
conference, but our volleyball team is in this one. And now I have to keep up with different teams and different rivalries, and I have to look at different pages, and like it's just like there's too much. I don't understand. I just wanted to watch something simple. I'm gonna just go back to my football. You know what I mean? Like I think that if we're going to make this such a wide ordeal and everybody plays everybody and you go across the state and do whatever, I think that uniformity at least helps bring some simplicity back. Because if I'm a Pac-12 school for volleyball, but a Big Ten school for football, and whatever, like it's going to get hairy, and it's going to get hairy fast.
My only thing is that UConn has been doing it with no issue.
But who watches UConn? Well, they're basketball, obviously. But like, when was you watched UConn football?
I watched UConn football this year. Are you kidding me?
Pre Jim Mora.
Okay,
Come on
well.
now. I'm not souped up demon UConn the one year that they've had for the last 20 years. But
I watched them the year before too.
And now he's at Colorado State. You tell me
True.
how many UConn football games you watched this year, and we'll circle back to this. But point being is, I fear that now that we're cutting off these traditional rivalries and links and geographical hotbeds of sports relative to what teams are where, you have to still provide some sense of comfort. And I think that the conference branding is slowly becoming the comfort.
Sure. I just think that you can still create these football superpower. Like in my mind, you go, well, we're going to make these football superpower conferences. We're going to have this Big Ten with these historical programs and UCLA's football program. You can have an SEC that is like, hey, we're bringing in Texas and Oklahoma and A&M, but we're leaving out Tech and TCU. But also, we still have Florida, but forget Florida State and things like that. And then you have your other programs be, okay, well, the Big Ten is, Minnesota, Wisconsin, the Indiana schools, Michigan's, Ohio, Penn State, bring that all back. Go back to a Big East. But I know at the very core of it all is just that, like, all of the money is getting mixed into one big pot.
Yes.
When it comes to football, that, like, then basketball gets a little bit from. So you need to be, you can't just be a Big Ten school for football and then be in the Big East or the ACC.
I think if you want to alleviate the financial fears of like I don't want these programs to get shut down and having them travel across, because that is a real legitimate problem.
Yeah.
Like you said, the golf team does not have the money to go over and do this, that, and the other. The football team does. Making shorter conference schedules, widening your non-con, retaining the television rights, and being able to play regional whilst still having the factors of being in conference just to a smaller degree might be the simpler way to get around that.
Well, and I do think that as a sport that is growing in terms of reach and arguably budget, volleyball has figured that out well. Yeah, which is just bring a group of teams to one location.
Yeah, tournaments
in their non-conference. It's not like tournaments, but it's
it's that format.
It's classics. It's UK having bringing in Purdue and SMU and Houston like they did last year, and those four teams playing. It was like the Midwest versus Texas type thing. Yeah. But like that was I think that was a very great way of, hey, we're branching out and playing different teams that we don't always get to play and get to see.
The Maui Jim Maui works because everybody's in Hawaii, so there's no travel. They can spend that week or whatever.
Having the Broadway block party at the start of the year was an excellent idea as well.
Exactly. Like, yeah, if you leaned more into hotbedding venues and being like, these are the three places we're going to play over a 5-day span, Thursday to Monday, then sure, yeah, I'm in on that. But like, I just the branding and the set making multiple different media rights deals is also going to cut out from what athletics can draw from what budgets, and I think that becomes a very slippery slope.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's in a perfect world.
Yes.
This is how you do it.
Yeah.
But with the way that money goes, that can never be possible. So
in a perfect world, it'd all be one big giant conference, and we would have divisions. So then, it's like the media rights for everybody.
Or you basically have like East, West.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you break it up in there, and you have the Texas region, you have the California region, you have the Northwest region.
What the NFL does, what the NBA does, what the what these pro leagues figured out a long time ago because they didn't have to mitigate 125 different members.
I all I can think about is like there's like some like the AFC like what is it? Is it the AFC?
The NFC East is Philadelphia, New York, Washington, Dallas.
Dallas. That's the one where I go.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's a historical thing.
Sure.
I know. Trust me. I am a NFC. I'm not an NFC fan. I'm a Washington fan.
Yes.
And it drives me insane that Dallas is in our division. But we also have to have them because they're a rival.
Yeah.
So.
But I think going back to the Sacramento State side of things and with the MAC overall, I think making them be like, hey, we're going to pay everything to cover this. We just want to play. I don't want to say necessarily. I think the MAC is better than most FCS programs.
Yeah.
I think that there are going to be, if you have every team play every team, you're going to get some upsets type thing. But across the board, I think Sacramento State will fit into that style of play very well. And as the university president said, like just moving from FCS to FBS to get in front of more screens, get in front of more eyes is going to be so valuable to them that it doesn't matter that they're dumping $25 million into the MAC at this point.
Yeah, spend money to make money. It's an investment, and I think Sacramento State. And this might sound dumb, especially for like our older members, our older listeners, not members, but the ability to see them in the college football game. Yeah. Like, think of what that's done for Sam Houston State. Think of what that's done for a number of colleges.
Which was an interesting question that I saw somebody pose. Are North Dakota State and Sacramento State going to be able to get added into next year's game fast enough?
I think so.
I imagine so, because I think that like rosters are one of the last things that they do, and B, I think that they have enough user created content of the North Dakota State team already that like that's going to be a simple like make it work inside, like make it work from the inside models and not be like a create a team deal. But like I know there's a Twitter group that I follow that makes FCS programs every year. Yes. In those team builders.
And just replaces everybody. Yeah. I think that it's probably a situation that they were notified to have those prepared in case.
Most likely.
And if you remember last year, a lot of FCS teams announced that they were in the game and then they weren't.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that there's probably some pretty stock model.
But I think
whatever
some
that
of those were like created a team and you can download it type deal.
Maybe. Because I just remember like SDSU did it, and I was like, well, you're not in the game. What are you doing? Like I'm now confused.
Yeah, I would say that is one of those programs that I know I've downloaded, so that makes sense.
But yeah, so I am excited to see how it goes. That move up is typically super beneficial, even if you aren't a great team coming in. So yeah, it should be interesting to watch the MAC this year.
Absolutely. So we've got some girls district games coming up in Southwest Ohio. You got 3 for us. Go ahead and break them down.
I do, indeed. So let's start in D4. We've got D4, D5, D6 games.
Yeah.
We fully launch into the district brackets next week. I almost thought to do like a games I'm most looking forward to deal, but then I was like, I'm just going to talk about those in like 2 consecutive weeks then if I do that. Yeah. So let's talk about the folks that are playing within the next few days that are trying to keep their seasons alive. First off, Wyoming and Taylor. Wyoming 11-11, Taylor 10-12. This is a matchup we've seen twice this year, and the series is split. Both been pretty close games too. So Wyoming lost game 1 50-42, and then beat Taylor 59-56. Wyoming holds that slight advantage in terms of record, but obviously if you're doing the cumulative stats there, Taylor technically leads this series.
Sure.
Wyoming just shy of 40 points per game, 37.8 allowed. They are behind Taylor in steals per game, 5 steals to 12.2. They are also behind in blocks, 2.4 to 2.3. And also behind on rebounds. Like it's a situation where I'm very curious as to how this game goes, because I think Wyoming plays more cohesive collectively, but I think that Taylor has the more flashy numbers and more consistent output that genuinely does make this a really interesting game. So tomorrow, but today, whenever you're listening to this.
Yes.
The main scores you want to hear about for Wyoming: Megan Thomas, who averages 12.8, and then Jenny Cordes, who has 8.6 points per game, 6.3 rebounds. For the Yellow Jackets, your primary folks to watch: Kylie Stutzman, 13 points per game, 10.7 boards, 3.3 steals. Her productivity was pretty on par both times in those head-to-heads. It was just very slightly different. 17 in the win, 14 in the loss. So you take that, and then Hannah Rowe, 7.8 points per game, 1.8 steals. Fun. This is usually about the time that we see the last remnants of conference play, as you're trying to work through the district. And being able to break a season draw here, being able to see what kind of wins out with such marginally different results throughout the season. Interesting, for sure. Excited to see this one.
Just looking at the numbers, to me, it's like Wyoming seems to play a slower game.
Yes.
A much more controlled game, whereas Taylor, like you said, is that flashier, higher points, more output, but also giving up more, surprisingly, despite the difference in stats.
They're forcing turnovers,
but they're not
stopping. Like it's a make it or take it kind of situation. Sure. Whereas Wyoming is a little bit more hand up than hand out.
Okay. That's
so yeah, it's interesting. I think Wyoming is one of those teams that could surprise you in a lot of just interesting ways of, like, they're a team that, not that you overlook, but a team that you go into and you're like, okay, well, like, it's more of a spread out approach. Like, I don't really have anybody to super focus on. And then they play their game. They slow things down. They wait for things to happen. And then all of a sudden you're down, 6 or 7 with 3 minutes to go. And you're like, oh, well, we've got to wake up and get through this, but their defense is tough.
Yeah, we've got to force something on them and
exactly.
Find the breakthrough.
They can work themselves into comfortability. Whereas Taylor, I think, is going to be a little bit more of a free-flowing ordeal, trying to generate more energy.
Do you want to pick a favorite of who you would see going on from this?
Sure. I think that Wyoming, I think that their style of play is more conducive this time of year. I think that slower approach, knowing what it took they learned from their first one. Mm-hmm. They ended up beating them in the second. I think that natural progression, knowing how that play style all flows together, leans me in their direction.
That they can just keep it moving from there. That's kind of how I was feeling as well. And again, like, I think it's just that if they can keep the game slow, I think that'll be more beneficial for them.
Absolutely. I will say, though, Kylie Stutzman is the player to watch for Taylor. I think that she's, depending on how her night goes, tells you a lot about how the rest of it went.
Yeah, because, 17 in the win, she could drop a 20 in this one.
Absolutely. Well, and highest average, 3.3 steals a game, over 10 boards, like doing a little bit of everything. So watching how those numbers track relative to where the averages have been will be important.
Okay.
Going down to D5 now on 2/21, so Saturday.
Yeah, why did you write it like that?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Saturday game, yep.
Yep, Saturday. So Marymount and Bethel Tate. The Marymount Warriors, a team that I don't believe we've gotten to talk about this year.
I don't think we have.
And they have deserved it. They have deserved to be talked about, so we needed to get out and get to them now. 46 points per game, 28.1 allowed. Yeah.
Okay.
The teams aren't even getting to 30 on them. 9 straight wins, 29.5 rebounds, 12.7 steals. This game is really fun because it's 2 scorers that I think this could be 220s on both sides type of night. I think that this could be really fun. I know Marymount's defense is obviously offering a much more staunch approach than I'm trying to suggest. They The other teams barely get to 20, let alone one player. But you've got Miller Spreen for the Warriors, 18 points per game, 3 steals a night, 41% behind the arc. Brad, there's your number. Shoots a decent amount of them. I do think it's interesting that Marymount has gotten to 18-4. Miller is the only one over 5.8 points per game.
Interesting.
Very isolated. Now, I know the defense is doing a lot of the winning there. Mm-hmm. But 18 points per game, nobody else above 5.8. I think there was a 5.8 and a 5.7. So it's just one of those things that the offense channels through one player, and you get back on the other side, and you hold tight and let things work like that. Bethel Tate doesn't quite have the wins that line up to that yet, but they have a lot of promising numbers surrounding it that I think could be very big here. So they're 10-12. They average 42.3 points per game. They allow 38.6. 29 rebounds, so half a rebound back on the average to Marymount. Mm-hmm. 11.9 steals, so 0.8 steals behind Marymount again. Very similar numbers, and they have more consistent scoring. So Zoe Sandker, 19.8 points per game, 4.2 steals. Both of those numbers are higher than Spreen. They also have a higher secondary score. Kalina Schrag has 7.6 points per game, 5.9 rebounds. So you have a situation, not to by no means to discredit either athlete, but you have a situation where despite the weaker results, Bethel Tate has on paper stronger offensive options.
Yes.
Hypothetically. So trying to figure out if those higher powered offensive options can push through the Warriors defense is going to create for a very interesting problem, in my opinion.
I think the big thing from where I'm standing is that Marymount's just defense is more locked down. That I don't know if Zoe Sanker is going to get close to that 19.8 points per game.
Totally fair. I find it really interesting that they're set up in such a way that the margins are similar. They should be forcing about the same amount of turnovers, and they should be getting about the same amount of rebounds. So if you have Bethel Tate, who does score 14 points more than Marymount allows on a nightly basis, which one of those levels out?
Yeah, which one breaks through?
Yeah, exactly. I think that this is going to be – I think this is upset watch, but I'm not going to predict the upset.
Yeah.
Marymount, I'm going to say wins this because you're right, that defense is just so tough. But watch out for Bethel Tate, because if they get through this, I think that they could have a sneaky, fun tournament ahead of them.
Mm-hmm. It could be a UMBC
absolutely
type deal.
Absolutely, dude. Bethel Tate has been an interesting one. That was a fun case study for me to get to finally do, because again, another school. This is the beauty of this time of year. We get to talk about a lot of schools that we usually don't.
Yeah.
So getting to see how Bethel Tate's season has gone and break that down was interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, and then finally,
last but not least,
D6 CCD Cincinnati Christian, a double MVC matchup, a unique MVC matchup because there is like 40 MVC teams, not actually, but it's like 20 something, I think. And so these two teams did not get to play this year.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Okay.
So we get to have this from scratch, and just kind of enjoy one of those games there. CCD, we'll start with them. 6-15, 35.1 points per game, 49.4 allowed, 24 rebounds a night, 6.4 steals, 2.6 blocks. It gets a little tricky with the MVC because there were some reporting issues with the stats later in the year. So apologies if anybody's out or anything like that, and those injuries happened late. But from what I can gather, Nicole Hardesty was their scoring leader, 13.2 points per game, and then 2 steals. And then Audrey de Alarcon, 10.5 points per game, reported for 2 games right before those stats stopped being reported. Okay. So I think that she got back, and then we kind of had to lose track.
Sure. But
if she's out there, 2 10-point per game scores, pretty important there.
Absolutely.
And then Cincinnati Christian, 9-11, 43.3 scored, 42.3 allowed. They're down on the rebounds. They're ahead on the steals by 2, and then they have a little bit more blocks. They're forcing turnovers at a higher rate, but odds are that they could get out rebounded in this matchup, which could play a big factor. Again, We have the sporadic reporting issues. Elena Fitzgerald, to the most recent that I could find, 13.1 points per game. And then you have Kaylin Davis, 8.6. Serena Cyprian, 8.3. Neither one of these schools have we been able to go to yet for, just the scheduling and the whatnot. You've heard the spiel a million times. I think that Cincinnati Christian is an interesting school for the run that we could go on. I think that bracket leads itself to a lot of chaos right there in their little corner. So seeing how they handle a team that on paper lost to a lot of similar, matchups in games that Cincy Christian was able to win. I would say that this could be a pretty strong building block for them moving forward. I'm going to take the Cougars in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah. It tracks.
I think this is one of those fun games. Yeah. Just to, like you said, they haven't played this so far this year. Yeah. It's always fun to see two teams meet up in the tournament for the first time and kind of get that wake up call of, we're gonna have to do this all the time now.
Absolutely. So. We a lot of these district games you run into, they've already played, they've already done this, but with this one it's like, wait, we get an NBC game that we actually haven't seen. That's fun. And obviously we don't know how many times we'll get to talk about either team through this year, so go ahead, take that shot of letting you know that what you needed to know for Saturday's game.
Yes, and go ahead and go back over all of those games again and when they are for the people while I look up one quick thing.
Yeah, you're good. So Wyoming versus Taylor is Division 4. You can catch that Thursday, so to the day of this episode being released. Marymount and Bethel Tate in Division 5 is the Saturday. And then Cincinnati Country Day versus Cincinnati Christian, D6, is also Saturday. And then, like I said, we have a ton of basketball starting, or a ton of tri-state teams that will start their district journeys next week. Keeping track of that is always a large headache, but one that I am going to do proudly because it's a very fun time of the year.
Yes, and that is all that we have for this week, correct? So that, as always, you can follow us on your podcast apps of choice, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. That is where you will always find our audio versions. You can always find the video version on fox19.com. Fox19 Now Plus, our free streaming app through Roku, Amazon, and more, as well as on the Fox 19 Now YouTube page. The best part about following the audio podcast under the Fox 19 Sports brand is that you don't only get us, you also get the Gold Standard. The Gold Standard is getting a little change to it, though.
Yeah.
Happening next week.
I was confused. I was like, did Joe get demoted?
No.
I know.
I'm gonna go ahead and just preview it to next week. I thought it was this week, but I've already started saying it, so we're gonna break the news here.
Okay.
To all of our fun listeners, the Gold Standard is going to be moving to a live stream once a week, and that day is kind of up in the air right now, but it'll be at 8 p.m. Once that gets fully finalized. Yes. And it might have to move around because of the Reds and things like that.
But we will still have the audio on our channels.
Yes, you will still get the audio version the day after, and that'll be just a fun way to get to experience that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's our Fox 19 Now Plus setup. We're really working to put content that you guys would care about and want to check in with. Like on Plus, we've got Rob's
Chef's Corner
setups, and we're working hard to develop that content and create multiple different ways for you to engage and find different local content.
Oh, and you have the best content of all. That's Kicking It with Ken, and Ken's
absolutely
Ken Baker's Tri-State Travel Treasures. Yes,
we got to have Ken in the afternoons. 2 days ago.
Yeah, when he was Gold Star.
He's such a delight.
He
is the man.
He is the light of my day.
He is such a cool guy.
He brings a special kind of levity to the mornings that I love more than anything.
And when you don't watch Ken Baker's content, you make him sad.
That's true.
So fix that.
And you can always watch the Tri-State Travel Treasure with me talking about 19 on the clock.
Exactly.
You don't have to. It's okay. But thank you all for joining us this week. We'll see you next time.
Have a good one.